Now, back to Cofield and Company, live from Stadium Swim at Circa Las Vegas.
Want any returning LIV players to hand back money they've made from LIV, or give money to charity, or pay a fine, or give back prize money they might win from future tour events? Wilbon, is this a reasonable request?
I can't use the words that I would use to the face of any one of those colleagues if they suggested that. I guess if I wore a black tank top and I could get away with those words on this show, I would use them. I would use them to their faces. Yeah, I don't even think I can write them down to hold them up. There would be a suspension coming, and I'm not ready for that.
So that's Michael Wilbon making a point about PGA golfers, LIV golfers, and then takes a shot at Pat McAfee that he could use bad language if he had a black T-shirt on.
Tank top, I think.
Couple of things. You're right, tank top. Couple of things. Say his name. Because if you're afraid to even say his name, you're certainly not going up to a golfer and saying F off. And I would also dare Michael Wilbon to do that to whatever Rory is on. I'm sure it's good fitness stuff, but he's yoked. I don't know if he can fight, but do it to Dustin Johnson, who knows what condition he's going to be in, right?
Sure.
So I don't want to hear, I love tough guy media people who won't even mention someone they're ripping. Then I would say it to their face. You wouldn't. And I don't even understand the premise of this. I think Exavier Pope has a lot of thoughts on this. I just thought that was weird, Exavier.
Yeah, I think that Michael Wilbon chose the topic in order to express his frustration. And I'm unsure about what other conversations he's having with the network regarding his role in the network or any other individuals of the network. But it appears as if Michael Wilbon, who, legacy sports media, been around ESPN over 30 plus years, since I was a kid, basically complaining about that certain individuals have the right to be able to say and do whatever they want. I.e. Pat McAfee getting drunk on air, cursing, the format being changed for him when ESPN changed its policies in relation to how people behave after, and pretty much in the aftermath of how they've changed up top what happened between Jamel Hill and former President Donald Trump. And so I think that's where Russell Wilbon, he didn't say he and Tony, he said himself specifically. So I think that it was a real subtle jab at basically talking about the white privilege that people like Pat McAfee, was talking about politics that Pat McAfee enjoys, able to do whatever he wants on air. He did come out and say it directly. I don't think he was coming directly at Pat McAfee. I think that was a complaint he was really lobbying at the Worldwide Network.
Do you think there's kind of a thing here with Wilbon, Exavier, that I think he kind of is talking about Pat McAfee, but not maybe him specifically, but this whole Joe Rogan bro podcast type movement that's kind of happened where, these dudes pretty much say whatever the hell they want. And it's hey, what happened to the guys who've actually been doing journalism all this time?
Yeah, I don't know if he's relating specifically to journalism per se, but I do think he's leaning in some of the white privilege, and that able to have those type of platforms. And if someone think about it, Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp, both of them, they have both platforms outside of ESPN where they are able to curse and be more themselves and be a little bit more open with how they express themselves. Even though something like that would be popular on ESPN because of the nature of how fans work and some politics that support Pat McAfee would complain, even though they would be able to get high ratings. And so that's why you don't see those programs at ESPN. You see them on separate platforms. And I think that's kind of getting to the heart of where Michael Wilbon is coming from, in my opinion.
Okay, there's a couple things here. Do I agree with you that Unk and Ocho Cinco will have a tougher time finding that mainstream platform? Yes, and I do agree there are reasons behind that. But I'm going to go back to Wilbon. It is an utterly absurd premise that Michael Wilbon, because he said if I did that, I'd be suspended. You've been with ESPN, and that show has been on for 30 years. I guarantee you Kornheiser and Wilbon can virtually do anything they want. Man up and speak out. If you don't like another host or the show or the format, speak out directly. There's no way they would suspend Michael Wilbon for going strongly after McAfee and even using some language.
But let's think of it this way, though, Steve. You know that Tony and Wilbon, that's not their stick, right? It's these two friends who think different, act different, but come together as sports fans, and that's kind of how they're based on. And so that's who they are. They're not going to go outside of that. They're not going to quote unquote do whatever they want. Like I said in the beginning, I think that Michael Wilbon maybe was speaking for some of the conversations he's having behind the scenes with other talent in regards to Pat McAfee. I don't think he was really more so referring to himself and what he could say, what he can do, because you're not going to see Michael Wilbon do anything other than what he's been doing the last 30 years.
Oh, man. See, here's the thing, though. Be who you are, and if you've changed over the years, just be who you are. And the other part of it is that audience that watches that show, and I'm not ripping them. It's never really been my cup of tea. I think that audience would eat that for freaking lunch, dinner, breakfast, late night snack if Wilbon was ranting all the time about, back in my day and look at these kids. I think his audience would love it.
I think there is something to be said about that, Steve. So I think you kind of do have a point, but I think that Michael Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser, they're legacy ESPN. They're able to have these discussions without having to go that place, and it's kind of like warm milk as a sports fan. You drink it. It's not the most spectacular thing in the world, but it's kind of essential to make you feel comfortable as a sports fan. I think that's the space they occupy, and that's why you don't see them go outside of that.
Talking to Exavier Pope, to your point, Exavier, though, too, wasn't Kornheiser, wasn't he suspended a few years ago for saying something about the boots of a colleague or something like that, or saying she wore some hot boots or whatever, and he was suspended from his radio show and the regular show from ESPN for a while?
Yeah, there was something to be said about that, but I mean, but even still, though, right? I mean, that's just him being an old weird guy, right? I mean,
that's a brand.
And so I think that it's kind of, they really haven't got outside of the stick that they are used to, and I think that that's the stuff you put on in the airport, you put on the bars, there's ESPN on television and it's there, and I think that that's something that ESPN relies on. I think a lot of his fans rely on, and that's why you see them staying with that same stick. You're not going to see Tony and Wilbon go outside this. They get paid tons of money. There's no reason to go outside of that.
Exavier Pope is with us. Listen, I think this media stuff has some audience. I also think it's way overplayed. And yesterday we had Woj retiring in our notes, and I'm like, I just don't think people care that much. I don't think we're that relevant. You can counter that, but I personally thought the story with Woj that is interesting is someone who's at the height of their career, their height of their occupation, going, you know what, I don't like this anymore. I'm going to go do something else. I thought that was cool.
I think it's cool you decide to do whatever you want. I mean, and Woj could do what he does in his sleep. I mean, so did Adam Schefter and some of these other guys. And I think that maybe Woj has his ambition set on running a major sports team. I think that's where it starts at St. Bonaventure, but that just gives him the credibility to move up. You saw even you're looking at J.J. Redick getting the Lakers job, So I think that that's what you're seeing is that guys are positioning themselves to get jobs, and I think that that's just another case of it. I don't think that he's burnt out by what he does. He just wants to do something different and leverage what he's been able to do in his career to be able to get there.
Do you think that the Woj thing has anything to do with the timing of like these other guys kind of coming up in the same field? Because for a while it was always like Woj bomb, and it was always the same guy. Then you had Shams, other guys coming up. Is it kind of like, oh man, the magic's gone, I'm just going to get out of here while I can? I
totally disagree with that. I think that the Shams, Woj bombs, all that is part of the marketplace of breaking the news that they do. I think it's just a benefit Woj to making more money. All the fact there was a marketplace for it. And so, no, I think that he's getting out at a high point, and he could have stood to make more money based on this becoming a popular form of fans being engaged with how they receive their sports content.
Exavier Pope is with us. So I'll make one last reference to Wilbon. I do think as media people get older, they see people come in, even if you don't like the bro culture, it is something different. It is inventive. They are good at it, and it can make you mad. It can make you jealous. I'll give you something I'm jealous of. You post a picture, and you got your daughter there. She's got a 3.9 GPA at the Paul?
Yeah, TV film program. I'm very proud of her, Amory, my sweet pea. She has a job working here and as well, and working in film. And she's just such a really brilliant kid. Every parent wishes for a kid who is a model citizen, has amazing character, and does her thing. She just turned 19. I'm so proud of her. She makes my job as a dad just so easy. I'm so blessed and thankful to have her as a daughter.
Well, congrats on that, Greg. Fire in.
I was just wondering, because I know we talked about this a little bit before the season started, and we were talking about Chicago, and I don't remember your exact stance on this, but how are you feeling about now with the Caleb Williams, Justin Fields thing after what you've watched through 2 weeks?
I think the interior line of the Chicago Bears, and it doesn't appear they're going to change much.
Yeah.
And so the Bears are no better off than they were a year before. You up in your team to put a new guy at quarterback, the guy that now Justin Fields is 2-0 at Pittsburgh. Fans love him. The fans were supporting him when he got there, and he's not giving up that starting job. Now, Russell Wilson is going to stay on the bench, right?
Right.
And this is something I predicted too. I said that once Justin Fields is going to play, it's an easy decision. The Steelers always make the right decisions. Good organizations make good decisions. Struggling organizations, they gamble and make bad decisions. I think that was what the Bears' problem is. And they basically replaced him for a guy who wants to be a pocket passer. It's too short to pass. I don't think that Caleb Williams looks ready for the National Football League. And it's unfortunate that some guys have to be thrown up front when they can't sit back and hold a clipboard for a few years and learn a position. And particularly when their team is not putting them in position to succeed.
Let's pump the brakes a little bit. It's only a couple of games. Now, I will say this on the offensive line thing. The Bears had already gone out, and they got DJ Moore in the fold, before this season, and they go out and get Keenan Allen. Roma Dunze was a piece, kind of a luxury piece. Get more offensive linemen. Now, they can't unravel that. But I still think Caleb Williams has plenty of time here. Last week he was sloppy. He was inaccurate. He was getting freaked out by the rush. Let's relax.
The game is too fast for him, Steve. But here's the
stop.
thing. We've heard this old adage: you build your team from the inside out, and that's not something the Bears have done. They try to build their team from the outside in, and so the Bears' defense actually is pretty stellar. They've kept them in a couple of games and pretty much won them the first game. That's something that Bears fans they love. It's great to have terrible offense in great defense in Chicago, but Chicago Bears fans have been dealing with that for the last 50, 60 years, and so they want a new story in town. And so it's great to have a great defense, great special teams, but they want to be able to have a solid offensive side of the ball, and it doesn't look like that's going to improve anytime soon.
Exavier Pope is with Cofield and Company, attorney out of Chicago. He is one of our key provocateurs. I think I'm going to have that in your answer every time. I had a Wilbon moment where I was like, is this part of my brand? And then I thought, yes, it is. Diddy and 1,000 bottles of baby oil. You followed it up with a comment about another house, den of something. What were you trying to say here with the baby oil?
Oh, well, Playboy Mansion. It was a place where people were flown in to have parties, and some of the parties. And there was also a documentary about Hugh Hefner when people said some pretty salacious things about him in terms of his abuse and who he was. And in a culture like now with Diddy getting arrested, Hugh Hefner would die, 7 years ago? Would his career, with his legacy, with the legacy of Playboy, look differently? And just even now, that things have changed dramatically, even in the 5 to 10 years, with the Harvey Weinsteins, the Bill Cosbys, and the R. Kellys of the world being held responsible for some of their sexual abuse. And so, how does that hold up against the light? Well, you can't look at it now because he's passed away, but I think that how he looked and how he's perceived, they look different in the light of what Diddy did with his freak-off parties.
Okay. Again, I had to kind of make this moral decision to go in the next direction. In prison, do you think Diddy is going to get some fine food? Will he have access to croissants?
Diddy is not going to get any access to any croissants. He may get a piece of white bread, one little sort of meat inside of it.
Now, explain EP why I mentioned that, because it was on your timeline, not specifically Diddy and croissants, but croissants as a maybe not the most workable bread.
And I said, I have my food takes are amazing. And the thing is croissants are amazing, Steve. They taste absolutely delicious. But when you have a sandwich with a croissant, it's a mess, right? It falls all over the place. The texture is great. The flavor is great. Why do we have to have a crescent-shaped bread that is so amazing to eat? So I want a good sandwich with a croissant. Can't you agree with that, Steve? But can we have a more workable shape of a croissant bread?
It's messy. It's not functional. Would you rather go with a croissant bun or a croissant hoagie roll?
Ooh, that sounds amazing.
Or let's go crazy. Croissant taco.
Hoagie roll, Steve. Let's go. You just fired me up like I've never been fired up before.
I mean, Big Bread can do it. They already do it with pretzel now. They're innovative with the pretzel. Big Bread can do croissant in any shape they want.
Hey, let's do it. I hear, if you're in the Las Vegas area, you're listening to this right now, make bread. I want you to make it. I want Steve to go have some, and him to talk about it on air. The challenge has been put down, is laid down, Las Vegas. Let's see it.
Xavier, we appreciate it. Love you, buddy.
Love you guys.
We'll come back. Stick with us on the video. A full hour of croissant bun discussion on the way.
A Monday Night Football twofer on the 23rd as it's Jacksonville at Buffalo on 12:30 The Game, and Washington takes on Cincinnati on Raider Nation Radio 9:20 a.m. Injured in a crash? Call Sam and Ash at 702-303-0333.
The Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino is the place for football. Hey, it's JVT. Start your Sunday with us at the Superbook. Watch the games on the huge 4K video wall with free admission and free parking. Plus, great prizes every week. See you Sunday at the Westgate with ESPN Las Vegas.
Donald Trump's back, and he's out for control.
I would have every right to go after them.
Complete control.
I will wield that power very aggressively.
And he has a plan to get it.
Detailed plans for exactly what our movement will do.
It's called Project 2025, a 922-page blueprint to make Donald Trump the most powerful president ever, overhauling the Department of Justice, giving Trump the unchecked power to seek vengeance, eliminating the Department of Education, and defunding K-12 schools, requiring the government to monitor women's pregnancies, and Trump has also proposed severe cuts to Medicare and Social Security. Those are Donald Trump's plans.
Well, revenge does take time, I will say that. And sometimes revenge can be justified.
He'll take control. We'll pay the price.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. Paid for by Harris for President.
Listen to Sunday Night Football live only on ESPN Las Vegas, 1100 AM and 100.9 FM, KWWN, Las Vegas.
From Stadium Swim at Circa Las Vegas,
it's Cofield Company, only on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Back here, adjacent to Circa Sports, we're at Stadium Swim, 143-foot screen for the Jets and the Patriots tonight. If that doesn't sell you, what will? Jets, I think, if I'm correct, have not been favored in this series in a game in 25 meetings.
Really?
That doesn't seem possible.
No.
But going through all of them, it's very likely because it's been a miserable existence.
How long has it been since Russ Ryan was there? I figured they were favored in a couple of those, maybe. No,
Probably not.
no. I guess you're right. I know they won a couple, but they probably weren't favored.
I mean, that's going back less than, I got to look it up.
Yeah.
My life is going by too quick. My sports existence is going by too quick. Sometimes I forget how long ago things were.
I figure one of those butt fumble years, maybe they were favored, but it probably was longer
They
than that
were.
ago.
They weren't a great team. They delivered in the playoffs. They were a winning team, but they had to play close to the vest and play good defense. And the Patriots at the time were freaking superpowers. Yeah. This hour is brought to you by Battleborn Injury Lawyers. 766-1400 is the number. There's an office in Reno. Also, here in the South, the Southerners can go to downtown Las Vegas, where we are, Henderson and Summerlin. 766-1400, dial 775 in the North. Big Four time.
Battleborn Injury Lawyers presents the Big 4 at 4. Number 4.
Yeah, I will usually go with an audible when I change up the Big Four, but we kind of gave you the heads up, and Greg knows it's coming, so I don't have to do it. I actually did a silent motion to everyone, right?
Yeah, like Crocodile Dundee with that big ox.
Exavier Pope just brought up a good issue with croissants. They are delicious for sandwiches, but they're not functional because the crescent shape, especially on the small end, just starts to bust up. And I believe I think we've hit this technology prior. I think there are some fast food places that already do kind of a round croissant bun.
Yes, they do. I'll be honest, though. I don't like them.
Oh, you sat quiet the whole time while we raved about
I tried to
croissants?
talk, and we said we had to go. So
yeah, that's right. You were pointing.
I was trying to jump in there, I just feel like they're too they're kind of like bread's cotton candy. They melt in your mouth too much, and then the meat is just there by itself. I want a little bit of hoagie, bread on there for the ratio.
Though. So what if it's like it's a triple thick croissant as a hoagie roll? You make subs out of it.
Croissant to me is like a dessert. Can't have it with like deli with cold cuts. You need a hoagie roll for that.
By the way, Exavier was asking a Vegas-based bakery to try this. I think it's on his city, Chicago. It's their responsibility. I can tell you who's not doing it if we ask them. The French.
Oh, yeah, no.
The French would get so pissed off if you're like, hey, croissants, man, they ain't working for us. Not going to happen. So then you know what we do? Imperialism be damned. We go to the Vietnamese.
They have croissants as well?
Yep.
Really? What's theirs?
There's very much a French influence.
Huh. Interesting.
On me.
Okay. I never heard of that.
They're very much a French influence in Vietnamese culture.
Yeah, I don't like them. Not a big fan.
I'm not swinging you. Okay. Griffin, at Cal Poly, did they have good croissants or were you fed stale ones your entire football career?
I don't remember the last time I had a croissant and it wasn't stale.
Oh, man.
They're always the life expectancy of a croissant. It's not great.
It's not great. Here's the thing. I like them so much. We had a get together, a cookout as we call it. And someone, I don't even know why I'm laughing.
I want to know what you were going to say.
Well, I got ripped on yesterday because I said I was a man of the streets, and apparently
I see. Okay.
Griffin and Nye said basically that was a man-ho. But I was going to say I'm connected on the cookout thing.
Like you belong to the streets? Is that what they're saying?
Well, I really meant to say man of the people, but
I
would say from the mean streets or man of the people, and I combine it. Someone at a recent cookout brought over a bin of croissants.
Yeah.
And they were mini. There's like 16 of them, and they didn't go through all of them. And then for like the next 4 days, I was like, I have to. And I could see them wilt. Kind of. They don't wilt. They get kind of
crispy.
They get stout.
Yeah.
And boy, the last one I had, I was like crunching, chipping teeth. I think it was a ride to work, and I'm like, these are not good at all.
Yeah. No, they're very guacamole-esque. They don't have a very long life at all. But I don't really like them when they're fresh either. So, and that's for dessert. Like they have some. I forget the fast food place. One of them has them where there's like chocolate inside the croissant or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. That I'll eat all day.
Well, you do know that along with me being a high-level truck driver when I delivered eggs,
yes,
I was a cabana boy in the past. I was also an expert baker.
Were you really?
I actually did work at a chain bakery where we made 0.0% of the bread there.
Yeah.
It was all brought in frozen. You defrost it. Like I could do challah bread, but it would just be like this super long piece of bread, and I could do the twist.
Yeah.
But like we weren't sitting there. There's no mixing bowl at this bakery.
How'd you get croissants? Were they frozen?
Yep.
Oh, I've never even heard of that.
We just threw them in a tall oven, on all different.
Yeah. And then they would heat up and be okay.
It'd be pretty good. And but the reason that jogged that memory of that job was we had the chocolate croissants.
Yeah, those are good. Oh,
excellent. All right, we're doing Fatso again, and grunting is coming soon. Number 3.
Number 3.
Oh wow, we should have had a sounder for this. I didn't know what the hell was going on. Wow, look at this. The greatest baseball player who's ever lived, and he's not even pitching right now. Watch when he goes 50-50 next year and has 43 saves and 122 strikeouts in 61 innings. He's not that good. He's not the MVP. Shohei Ohtani is 5 of 5 today. 2 homers, 7 RBI. I think he must have gone into the game. And he's like, okay,
7 RBI.
We're playing the Marlins. I'm going to steal whatever I want, and I'll probably try to hit a couple home runs. Yeah, he's at 51 steals and 50 home runs.
Oh, goodness.
Do it.
Yeah. No,
I mean, what a man amongst men. Greatest baseball player ever. 50 and 51. Remember how crazy we used to go over 40-40?
Yeah, I know.
50 and 51.
It's unbelievable. I would never let him pitch again, by the way, ever.
There's really no need. Which also, this goes back to what I said when he signed the $700 million deal.
Yeah.
I'm like, he is going to be 40 and 125 every year. I absolutely did not make the call that he would be like 40 steal guy.
Oh, 50-50. Just
if he wants next year, do we have his overall numbers here? What are his overall numbers for steals? Is he 51 of 50? How many times has he been caught? Vast research crew, look this up. I just did. He's 51 of 55. If he set his mind next year, right? And I'm actually going to take a shot at the stolen base numbers right now because they put in the pizza box last year. The bases are bigger. Could he steal 90 bases at 6'4" and 220 pounds?
No. I mean,
I 51.
I mean, I guess
that's a crazy notion.
Well, the game. I mean, I know the game they steal more now than they had for a while, but still, I mean, like when Ricky Anderson was stealing,
he did 130.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think that that's possible anymore. But maybe. I mean, if he really wanted to, I guess. But then he's probably gonna take away from his other numbers. I don't think somebody could still not like, because then it was going to be like 90-50 or whatever, 50-90.
90-50 awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not putting I meant what I said too.
Yeah.
About the closing thing. Now, I don't think he can save 40-plus games, and I wouldn't use him that way. But the way the Dodgers use their bullpen, they've got like 7 closers. They don't. But they have like 4 guys who can close. If he's in a rotation, why can't he close out, whatever.
Well,
He pitches 35 games, gets 18 saves, and has an insane strikeout rate with 50-50.
That's crazy. But you know what? It is possible because with the DH now for that, in the National League or whatever, I guess you could probably do that because he doesn't play the field really. So, no.
Number 2.
Number 2.
The crazy thing is, and I was kind of joking there, but there was some reality that he is actually underrated, and I think people bristle when we call him the greatest baseball player ever.
Yeah, well, they don't like change. Nobody likes change.
Okay, what if he was a New York Yankee?
Oh, I would already have him the greatest baseball player ever.
Of course you would.
Yeah.
I'm going to get mad when you talk about the Hall of Fame for the NFL. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it.
Oh, well, the list just came out for this year's Hall of Fame class. Eli Manning is included on this list.
It's the nominees or the class?
And this is just the class of like possible. I think
Okay.
I don't think it's that far along yet. But this is his first year of eligibility, I guess, of possible. He's going to go in. Okay, let's just say that. He's going to go in. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I think it's since Joe Namath, which is going to also make you mad, I think this is the worst quarterback that's going to be.
Does not make me mad on Joe Namath. Because Joe Namath was a winner, in spots, and obviously made, the prediction in Super Bowl III or before Super Bowl III.
Yeah.
But he was a guy who got hurt, and he was a slightly above 500 quarterback, if he was even that. Eli Manning, he won Super Bowls, but I liken it a lot to Troy Aikman, who is a good quarterback, not an all-time great, I don't think.
No.
Eli Manning was 117 and 117 in the regular season. That's a Hall of Famer?
No.
But that's New York. That's New Jersey. That's that area that you get pushed that heavily. 117 and 117 during the regular season.
You know what it is? And this, you're going to have to say it's a reach, but to me, this is the
oh my God.
Skip Bayless ring era. Everything. Oh, rings are the only thing that matters. This is how we got into the Hall of Fame. If it wasn't for that, if we were still basing people on the same thing we did with Dan Marino, was considered one of the best quarterbacks in the league, even though we didn't have a Super Bowl. Do you think Dan Marino is better than Eli Manning? I do. Well, I mean,
he threw 25 and 27 interceptions in 2 different seasons.
Yeah.
Again, a 500 quarterback, and there's no doubt in my mind, Big Ben and Phillip Rivers, both better quarterbacks.
Absolutely.
Rivers has no shot because the Chargers were dumpster fire at the beginning of seemingly every season there.
Yeah.
And they wasted like 6 years with North Turner.
I don't think, is Eli even a top 5 quarterback of his generation?
I'll say this.
Not even.
Tom Coughlin might be a top 7 coach of all time because he did it with Eli Manning.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
it's akin to Joe Gibbs, who did it with Doug Williams, Joe Theismann, as he used to be called, and Mark Rippon, which is one of the more incredible feats ever.
Well, it's especially crazy too because the 2 most famous plays he did, the Burris and the Tyree plays, were both really lucky. Throw it in the air. What am I doing? I'm going to turn my back and close my eyes, throw this football now. Type plays.
Unreal.
And now he's in the Hall of Fame.
Number 1.
Number 1.
Okay, I let you air it out, Mr. Eagles fan. And we're, by the way, as a Jets fan here and an Eagles fan there, we're completely objective. I gave you numbers. We're completely objective on Eli Manning. Oh, boy. Do you have a little bit to get off your ample chest about Monday Night Football and the Eagles?
I'm so sick of this crap, dude. Like, okay, first of all, they're 2-3 in their last games decided by, I think it's in the last 2 minutes, games that are decided in the last 2 minutes. Since the last 5 games they've done that, they're 2-3. The rest of the league is 90-11 when leading with less than 2 minutes.
Jalen Hurts' fault.
You know what? It partially is Jalen Hurts' fault, but I'm going to tell you this. Nobody's talking about Vic Fangio, and I am so sick of this. One-on-one, everybody has to beat their man. We're not going to blitz because our guys are going to win their matchups. Garbage, vanilla, preseason looking 7-on-7 defense they're running. I am so tired of it. They ran it with Gannon. Then they brought this other doofus in to run it last year. They're like, oh, why not just get the creator of it, Vic Fangio? It'll be better now. And now we're giving up 7 yards of carry to the Falcons. I mean, I know Bijan's a great runner, but damn. And then they get the ball. Everybody's arguing about, did Saquon drop it or did Sirianni get the game away? How about stopping him They're on the 20-yard line with 40 seconds left to get to the 3.
You know what's
what
funny?
kind of defense is that?
All I've heard is they should have kicked the field goal in the first quarter, and they blew the end of the game on offense. And I really haven't heard many people rant about the ineffectiveness so far of the defense.
It's unbelievable. They were just trying to keep the Eagles off the field. Even Sirianni in an interview during the game, he was like, man, we've had four series. What do you want us to do on offense? We've had the ball 4 times. They've had the ball the entire game.
He was so weird. I forget who was I don't know who was doing halftime, the sideline interview. And she had asked, or maybe whenever it was, she had asked Sirianni about the offense. And he's like, basically, we haven't had the ball. That's all he can keep saying. Like I can't say it enough. I can't do anything. We don't have the ball.
It's ridiculous. They can't get off the field.
Poll question today. Philly fans are very even keeled, level-headed.
Very rational.
The fanatic in Philly, do you trust Nick Sirianni's decision-making? The guy was in a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Do you trust his decision-making? No, 76%. Wow.
You know what the funny thing about that is right before this happened, he made a decision because the Niners tried to jump off sides on purpose and waste some time on the clock. He made the decision. Eagles Twitter's going crazy how great he is. 1 play later, they hate him and want him fired.
Traffic is brought to you by Meineke, your one-stop shop for total car care. Trust your keys with Meineke.